one of our live interactive trainings. And today we have a super special guest. I'm going to pull her in just a second. But just to tee her up real quick, this is a nurse who came to us with a raving need to change her lifestyle. She was truly in need with young children to say something has got to change. I am watching my children grow up and I don't get to witness it. I am around, but I'm not engaged. I'm not with it. I'm not living it with them. And so what we love about her story is where she started, what she overcame, and the path she is on now to her beyond six-figure business at this point, which is truly, it makes me smile. But I want to share with you guys, I want to bring her in and share her with you so you can hear her story from her, so you can hear her success from her and see just how possible it is and how realistic it is for a nurse to come into this field and make six figures. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Angela Rhee. How are you doing, Angela?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for taking time to join me. I'm excited. I know I've got a few questions for you because I think, I love the idea of just, again, us sharing, you as a successful nurse sharing with other nurses how valuable it is to really break out and say, I can do this full time, because you went through some pivotal moments while you're in the program. So for anyone who understands, so Angela is a nurse and has taken our 16-week business Kickstarter program, and within 16 weeks was able to obtain more than one case or client, and then also create a six-figure revenue for herself. We'll get into some of those details as we jump in. Angela, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Angela Rhee. Like Stephanie said, I'm a CRNA. I've been a CRNA for 14 years, and I've been a nurse for 20 years.
There you go. You go. Well, I really do appreciate, again, you taking time out, but I know you got time now. It's not like it was before. So let's jump in, because this is where I think a lot of nurses get curious. So you're a CRNA, right? You've got 20 years of nursing experience under your belt. I do want to first and foremost ask you this, because I say it, but I would love for it to come from someone else. Do you think a nurse needs that many years of experience to be successful in this industry?
No.
Why?
I do not. You have the nursing knowledge. You know the standards of care. You know how to take care of a patient. You're there daily, in and out at the bedside. Mine's a little different. I'm in the OR, but I'm still there, and I'm actively providing patient care, and you're up to date on the standards of care. You know how to take care of a patient. You know what's right and you know what's wrong.
Exactly. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, because, my throttle is like 3 years minimum, closer to 5, right? That's kind of my threshold, I think, where I'm like, if you're under 3, it's tricky. If you're under 5, sometimes it's tricky. But if you've been in some sort of if you've been in an acute care setting in the last 5 years, you're good to go. Do you agree?
I do. Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Well, let's jump in a little bit more to your story now that we got that covered. What made you first start thinking about legal nurse consulting? Like, how did this idea come to you?
So I had a job, and they were just making a lot of changes, and they were not for the better. And I just kind of got tired of it. And I was like, I want to be home more. I want to be home there for my child and for my family. And I was like, how in the world can a CRNA work from home? Like, how is this going to work? I've never heard of a CRNA working from home. Can't get anesthesia from home, right? So I was like, I don't know. So I started just researching, and then legal nurse consultant popped up. I have a friend that's a legal nurse consultant, so I kind of chatted with her about it, and I kind of let time go by. And then I just got to the point where I was like, I am ready. I'm ready to say yes to me, to say yes to my family, my son. I was like, okay. I started looking at the programs, and I was like, oh, I like the LNC Accelerator. So I was like, okay, let me look into this a little bit more. So that's kind of where it all started to unfold.
So it was really being, like you said, management changes, getting dissatisfied at work. This was in the back of your mind, but as things persisted in the wrong direction for you, it became more imminent, right? Where you were like, I have to make a change. Like, I've got to do this, right? I mean, you said something to me we've known each other for a while now. You said something to me, beginning of this year, and you were like, my son is growing up, and it's like I see him growing up, but I don't get to like remember him growing up. And I'm like, okay, I know how you feel. Enough is enough.
Right.
We got to make a change. And I love how you said you were researching, like, how do CRNAs make money working from home? Like, how do we can't give in. That doesn't make sense. It's crazy how much we don't know, right? Until we do. So that's when so what was the exact moment? Like you said, finally you were like, I'm ready to say yes to myself. Was there something pivotal that happened where you were like, no more, I'm going to make a decision? Like, what pushed you over that edge to be like, I'm going to take action and start my own business and start right now?
Work, the changes they were making. I just knew my self-worth was more than that, and I wasn't willing to stay in the position I was in. So I said, time for me just to say yes to me and to take action.
So you were just fed up then. You were just like, I've had enough. Were you working on call like all the weekends or something? Because someone left and it was like you and one other person and it was constant call?
Sure. We used to have call. They got rid of call, but it was stay late. That's what it was. It was stay late. It was hard because you just didn't know what time you were getting out. So it's like, do I send my son to aftercare? Am I picking him up, or am I putting him on the bus? What am I doing? And when I'm in school, how do you get in touch with somebody at last minute? So I never knew what time I was getting out, and that just made it difficult to plan your life. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready to take charge of my own life. I'm ready to create my own hours, and let's do this. Let's see where it lands.
I love that. I love that. And here's what's interesting. You said it's hard to plan your life. I say this so much, don't I, about how we don't realize that work is here and then we try to piece life into work, which is not a way to live life.
No.
This big picture should be our life. We should be piecing everything else into it. So I like that point that you made. Why did you say yes to the LNC Accelerator? I mean, there's a lot of programs out there. We talk about that all the time. There's a variety and a selection for people to choose from, which is great for nurses, right? You have options. Why the LNC Accelerator?
Well, when I started researching it, everything is just laid out and blueprinted for you. So it helps along the way. And then you have unlimited access to a success advisor, a mentor to help you along the way, and unlimited access to mindset. The mindset piece really, really was the number one reason I chose it. I didn't realize how much I would need the mindset until I got into the program and I used the mindset, and I was like, oh, wow. Because, you know how to be a nurse. Yeah. So you may not know, the report writing and things like that, but you know how to be a nurse and you know how to review a chart. But it's the mindset. You can get in your own way. You can self-sabotage, and you need to work through those things and clear them so you can be successful. So yeah, that's why it was the mindset and just the unlimited access to success advisors. But I have to say, I really was skeptical, like, golly, they respond so well initially. Once I get in, is it going to be like that? But the response times from everybody on your team is incredible. They were there to support you the whole time, every step of the way. I mean, it really is. It's an amazing program. Your team is wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So unlimited. So let's clarify this, right? Because I think that's it's a valid point, right? Like, wow, they're so on it, but once I'm in, what's going to happen? So we do say unlimited support in those 16 weeks. Do you feel like it really is unlimited?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, there really is no cap on how many questions you can ask or how many one-on-ones you have. Like, there really isn't.
No, there's group calls, there's help desk, there's one-on-one calls. I mean, you meet twice a week. So if you have questions, bring them to the group calls. If not, send in a help desk ticket, an email. I mean, you're constantly back and forth with your advisor on revising, your CV or your materials. So, I mean, no, it is constant connection. And they will reach out to you. If you haven't reached out to them, they'll be like, hey, how you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we try to tell people that, like, hey, listen, once you're in, okay, you're in, and we're going to try and come find you. Don't ghost us. That's one of the big qualifying indicators, right? Like, that's why we do the same process we did with you, Angela. It hasn't changed, where you're going to talk to a couple people on my team before you come into the program, because it's a big deal. It's a really big deal for us to make sure that you can create the time. Why on earth would we pull you into a program if you don't even have the time, right? It's not about the finances. It's not always about the money. It's really, for us, about impact. It's like,
Right.
if you gave me the money but couldn't show up, I'm not going to be happy. So that's,
Right.
that screening process we do is kind of lengthy on the front end, but yeah, I think it's 2 people, right? Like, you talk to at least 2 people before you come into our program, just to make sure that you've got the time that you can commit, right? With schedules and things like that, you can make the calls and stuff. So how do you feel about those? How do you feel about all the qualifiers happening? How do you feel about that quote unquote onboarding or like initial process?
Oh, I thought it was great because you wanted people to be successful, and you could tell that from the fact that, first I talked with Ashton, and then I had another call with Vanessa. So it's like you want to make sure you have the time for it because you want to see people successful. You truly do. And I think that's where it comes out in even the free videos that you put on Facebook and the trainings and the materials you give out for free. I think it shows how much you want other people to be successful, other nurses to live their dream as well. And so I appreciated that. And your energy was so great. And I was like, oh, I love her energy. And you're on the group calls. And that's important too. You're the owner of the business and you come to the group calls and look at that. She's here too. That's great. So, and you're very insightful and there's a wealth of knowledge and you just share it all willingly. So it's great.
Aww. Yes, girl. I'm an open book.
Yeah.
My husband says too much. Close the book.
My husband said that too about me.
Why you gotta share everything, Stephanie? And I'm like, why not? I mean, if I got a problem, someone else probably has it too. What do you think one thing that you did not think you needed when you signed up for the accelerator? Okay, how do I rephrase this? What's one thing you didn't think you needed that you ended up using the most of, right? Once you joined the LNC Accelerator?
The mindset.
I felt like you were going to say the mindset, right? What do you mean by mindset, though, right? Because some people hear this and they're like, yeah, okay, I hear you, but what's mindset?
I would get in a place of just like overwhelmed, putting too much pressure on myself. And so you have a mindset team and you're assigned like a coach or however you want to word it. And so I had one and we would I'd make calls with her and would clear the overwhelm, clear the pressure, and it would open up the emotional capability for me to handle these things of, I thought it was just going to take me 10, 12 hours this week. It's taken me 20. I don't have the time. I feel very overwhelmed. And then you get on these calls with your mindset coach. You clear those emotions. It opens up the capacity to take on the more hours you needed because you're not in this panic stress state. You're more calm and relaxed and you can get things done and you actually remember what you watch on the video. So it's a win-win.
So because as nurses, we're so used to this heightened, elevated, like adrenaline state where it feels, well, for now, right now, I mean, you might be able to say the same thing, right? Now that you've left, it feels like a survival kind of technique, right? Like we're on this high, but we're always trying to survive whatever is going to happen next in the nursing realm. And you working in the OR, emergencies happen all the time, right? So it's like, and the what ifs. So feeling overwhelmed when you start your own business isn't uncommon. It's just, how do you navigate that? So for those who are watching, mindset isn't just about rah-rahs and chant your way and hear people say, just say your gratifications every day. Well, we don't just teach you how to say gratifications, right? Like, it's not about chanting your way to success or fake it till you make it. It's really about techniques that are scientifically proven that help us release bottled up emotions and energy, that give us creative space, like you said, Angela, so that we're not overwhelmed and our energy is in a place where we can then thrive and get in momentum versus being pushed by panic. You said that too. And then also some of the tactical pieces, like we have worksheets, we have very like tactical methods, like productivity hacks and things like that, that help a lot of us nurses, I think, navigate that, because we are all the same when it comes to overwhelm, being overproductive, that perfectionism, like What else, right? The sheer panic of the self-sabotage. Like we all do that.
Mm-hmm. I'll sleep tomorrow. I just got to get through this tonight and check the box. I'll sleep tomorrow. You're like, what? That doesn't serve anyone.
Yeah, I know. So again, these old hardwired habits we've formed to thrive in this environment, right? In acute care or at the bedside or in whatever day job we had, we try to bring that into our own business and we realize quickly like, oh my gosh, now I feel panic and overwhelm and it's because of some of these habits. So we do that too, right? Like we teach new habit formations and how to habit pair and how to be, it's not just an element of making money, right? It's about how you actually build a successful foundation within yourself. So you set yourself up, pattern out great habits to basically predispose you. And you hear me talk about like the default is success when you change your daily habits, right? It's not the default is failing. The default becomes success when you put the right habits in place to program you to go do that then all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
See, there's guys a taste of what group coaching calls are like.
Yeah, that is. That is. I actually have my circle calendar I'm using today. I mean, well, I use it every Monday through Friday. I use it.
Yeah, it's a taste of what group calls are like, right? How long did it take you, Angela, to get your first client?
Well, you start marketing in week 3 or 4. I think 4 really is when you start marketing. You get your materials together in week 3, but you start marketing in 4. And I think my first client was in 10 or 12.
Okay.
So at week 10 or 12, so 6, 8 weeks.
So okay, so 8 weeks. I mean, I love this because 8 weeks of marketing. So that's 2 months and you were already getting money, like collecting retainers.
Yes.
Yes. And just so everyone knows, and Angela can vouch, we teach you to collect the money before you produce the product. Yes. So what was your, like, what's your, like your retainers, your typical retainer still the 1,500 that we teach, or is it something more?
It's a little more since I'm an advanced practice provider. I charge more.
Yeah. So there you go. Even that, right? And in large metropolitan areas, you guys can charge more than $150 an hour. Angela does. Angela charges more because she's advanced practice. She collects bigger retainers. So you don't collect $1,500 at a time. You're collecting more. I love it. How many cases, like, I mean, this is a loaded question, right? When you say how many cases have you had, because some cases are 10 hours and some are a lot more. So what would you say, since you have gotten your first case, would you say I guess, how am I trying to ask this? Like, are you on pace for 6 figures? Are you beyond your 6 figures?
Yes.
Like, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So your projection. So we do a projection. Your projection puts you in 6 figures, well into the 6 figures based on what we did at the end of your coaching, right? You're still on track for that?
Yes.
This is so cool, guys. So we do this income projection where we'll take the results, right, Angela? And we're like, what are your connections? What are your averages? Like, is this number, could it be better or worse? What is your conversion time frame? How much you're collecting? What are your case averages? So we walk you through step by step so that you, even after 16 weeks, we have continued support, but just like Angela, you get to literally take those steps and say, okay, I keep going and doing these things, and this is what gets me to the 6 figures. And you basically have like a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And that's something, and do you think it's accurate? Do you think it's something that's valuable for nurses who come in the program?
Yes, I do. The income calculator was very valuable because you can see, what your projection is for the next 3 months, 6 months, however you want to march it out, and you can hit your goals, and then you can reevaluate after 3 months and then adjust your goals and reevaluate. So, I mean, it's a great little tool.
I know. I still use it. I think I know when I partner with someone to help me create it, I was like, oh my God, this is genius. I couldn't believe I hadn't done it sooner. But how are things like now that you're finished with the accelerator? How are things, how's your day job? How are things at home? Like, give us a glimpse into Angela's life, right? So really quickly to preface and pre-frame, before the accelerator, how many hours were you working as a CRNA?
40, sometimes more if I picked up elsewhere, if I got stuck at work. So between 40 and 45, 50. Okay.
You didn't have much time with your kid. We know that, with your little boy. Were there any other struggles or anything that you battled with before you went through the accelerator?
Just appointments. Like how am I going to fit any of this in? My husband and I trying to juggle who's going to bring him to the doctor, who's going to bring the dogs to the vet. I mean, and then of course you got to take care of yourself and get your manis and petties. You know that. I love those. So it was just like it just felt like I was always running out of time. It was just
Yeah.
frustrating because you
Was
didn't
it?
know what time you got off of work.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't plan, like you said. There
Right.
was like a constant struggle to to do life. What is it like now after the accelerator?
Well, like my husband told me last night. I mean, Angela, you're the one with the flexible job. Can't you bring the dog to the vet tomorrow? I was like, I can and I will. I've already made the appointment. Thank you. So yes, now it's much better. Every other week, I have carved out time for my pedicure and my manicure. I work from home 3 days a week, and then I still do practice as a CRNA because I do love it, and I'm an expert witness. So, and I love the expert witness aspect as well. So I do practice 2 days a week, and then sometimes I'll pick up every now and then off shifts when I want to. But it's great because I have control over my whole schedule. So
Yeah.
he's out of school, I take off. So it's just great. So
Okay,
I'm
that's
there
it.
to
So
get him on the bus.
yeah, so you went from the schedule dictating your life now to you have a life and you work 2 days a week because you want to. You
Right.
build your business the other time. Your husband has even told you you're the one with the flexible schedule, right? So I think it's cool, right? And you, what were you saying? You get to take your son and drop him off and pick him up from the bus?
Yeah, like I'm there in the mornings, except for 2 days a week, and that's okay. He knows that, and he's fine with it. And he told me the other day, "Mommy, I love when you're home in the mornings." I'm like, "Oh, I do too." I mean, he wakes up at like 5:30, so we're like riding a bike at 6 a.m., playing baseball. I mean, who would have thought those 2.5 hours before he got on the bus, we would have done so many things together? But I just love it, and I'll never get those moments back. So I'm so glad I decided to join and build this business because, like I said, I'll never get that time back with him. So
I
I
love
love it.
that. That's such
Yeah.
a start. That's such a drastic change. Going
Mhm.
from obligation as a CRNA to now electively as a CRNA. And you said something I just want to tap into. You said, because I love it. When I first chatted with you, you were not in love with being a CRNA. And do you feel like that's because it was the obligation? Do you feel like now having this be your life and you get to piece everything else into life the way you want it? Do you feel like that brought back the passion and the love for why you became a CRNA?
I do. That is a part of it. I do love being a CRNA. I think it was the politics of where I worked and how things were going. I just needed a break from that, and so that has helped a lot. I think my mental capacity is much better now. My emotional ability is much better now as well. I mean, everything's just so much calmer, and I love it. It's just great. I mean, I just needed to take a step back and, like I said, say yes to me and really my family, and it's been working well. So,
What do you think about what would you say to anyone about the investment, right? So we talk about investment sometimes, and some people, this because this is a business startup, right? The business Kickstarter program that you did, the 16 weeks, you start your business. It's like foundational to elevate you into that six figures. And it's 16 weeks. It's a lot, right? It's intense, but it's a business investment. What would you say to someone who's on the edge of their seat, wondering if they should make such a substantial investment in themselves?
so I totally understand where they're coming from since they're not in the program. Because when I first was talking, and then I heard, about how much it would be, I was like, oh gosh. I was like, well, I hope this is worth it. And I just said, you know what? It's either now or never. And my husband said, we've spent that amount of money on other things that give you no return. He said, so just do it. He said, that's not much to start a business because my husband owns his own business. And
Yeah.
so once I started it, I was like, oh my gosh, look at everything you get. Everything is laid out, mapped out for you. Like I said, the mindset coach, the success advisors, there's so much that's included in the program. And I know you're always adding new things because I know your brain doesn't stop. You're always like, I want to do this, I want to do that. So there's always new videos or we're updating things. Y'all are, it's great. I thought it was wonderful. Definitely worth the value. And to start up a business, I mean, it's not bad.
No. So
Oh,
without getting into the details of associated like investment things like that, because we do talk about that in our
right.
screening calls, right? Like we really get down to all the investments, including the financial investment, because we want to make sure everyone's a good fit. You're saying yes, it's absolutely worth it. Dive in. What advice then do you give someone? Let me ask you this. What advice do you give the version of you who was working at the bedside 6 months ago? What advice would you give because you quit in in that 16 weeks, you were quitting your full-time CRNA gig.
Right. That's correct. I was
So
going
what,
PRN.
yeah, what did you say?
I went PRN
You went PRN
agency.
in that 16 weeks. What would you say to the Angela 6 months ago? Like with what you know now, what advice would you give the Angela 6 months ago?
Don't be so scared. Just do it. Don't be scared. Just do it.
So, but I think that's the lesson, right? Hindsight. Everyone
Right.
says hindsight's 2020, but I mean, you and I have had these conversations. When have you failed yourself before?
Right.
Right. So, like, sometimes we get into this and we're like, am I worth the investment? Like my husband's like your husband. Like, it's an investment. Go do it. Like, it's
Right.
so worth it. You've never quit anything before. Like, why would you quit now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Would you tell
Yeah.
yourself anything else?
I mean, I waited a little long to do this, but actually the timing's perfect. It all worked out well. It all worked out well. But no, just don't be so scared. You've got
Don't be
this.
so scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I mean,
think
it
it's that.
was scary. I mean, then I was like, oh gosh, this is taking me like 15 to 20 hours a week initially. I thought it wasn't going to take this long. So then you start second guessing, but that's where your mindset comes in. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think it's great though. You mentioned it is a little scary. I think it'd be odd if it wasn't because
Mhm.
I mean, think about going to nursing school. Your first patient on your own, same fear, a little scary because it's what everyone talks about. It's pushing you outside your comfort zone. And I feel like it's so cliche to say that, right? Like step outside your comfort zone. Like it's one of those much easier said than done things. But
Yeah.
even now for myself, for you, we step outside of our comfort zone. I don't want to say we're used to it, but we understand what's happening, right? We're like, okay, this fear isn't me doubting myself or thinking I can't do it. It's just I haven't done this exact thing before. So
Right.
it's like a different perspective that we teach inside the program. How do you navigate those new beginnings? How do you navigate some of that? And now that you have awareness around it, I like to tell people this, like that fear doesn't necessarily go away. You just learn what it is and what it really means.
Right. So how
And
about that? Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's
yeah,
how you grow. That is how you grow. Yeah.
yeah, and that's exactly what we do, right? It's like, okay, this is uncharted territory, but I know I can navigate this because I've done it 1,000 times before, and I can do it again. And so I think it really is an element of self trust. And once we gain, with mindset, right? We understand that once we gain that element of self trust, it's like I'm never going back to being someone else's employee full time. I will do this electively on my terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone who might be considering starting their own LNC business or saying, I want to join the LNC Accelerator program? What advice would you give them?
Just do it. Why not? What do you have to lose? Just do it.
Well, some
Take a
people
chance
say the
on yourself.
financial investment, Angela, I have all that money to lose. What would you say to that?
Why would you lose that money?
I mean, I hear you, but what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, I get it. I get it because I've done it too, right? We've done it. But the person who hasn't done it, they're like, but this investment, what if I pay all this money and I don't make it back?
Why wouldn't you make it back? If you don't put the work in, maybe, but you'll put the work in. You can do it. If you're making the investment, you're going to do it. I mean, it's up to you. You'll do
Never
it.
put on yourself. I love you guys. I just want you see here how Angela's answering my question with a question. This is a lot of the mindset work, and I love this. And this is proof right here in the pudding when I said, what would you say to the person who says I can't make it back? And her response was, why wouldn't you make it back? So this is part of hardwiring at its finest. Her default answer isn't, I'm not going to make it back, or have no fear. She's not trying to boost you up. She's saying, why wouldn't you make it back? Why wouldn't you bring in revenue? Why wouldn't you recoup your investment? The only way not to is to quit, because it is all laid out, right? It's all there. And we have unbelievable resources. We just released another insane resource this week to actually decrease the amount of time from attorney discovery to acquisition, right? Turning those attorney prospects into cases faster. We just released it, Angela has shared with you. I guess I get bored. I just come up with new stuff all the time. And we got nurses already who are decreasing the amount of time and getting clients faster based on our new resource. So I think it's great, right? I think I love the program. What do you think? Share with them in one sentence. Like, if you could recap the program. I don't know how you do this in 16 weeks. If you could tell them what this is all about in one sentence, like that 16 weeks, what is it all about?
The 16 weeks is going to have to be all about you for about 16 weeks. Just learning something new and just trust the process. I know you hear it over and over again, but it's true. And just talk to your family, before you start the program. Talk to them. Let them know what you're doing. Make sure they're on board so they can support you through it. And, this is going to be the end all be all for you. So have them support you so you can do what you want to do. Ultimately, it supports them in the end too. So
yeah. And the change in income is pretty substantial, right?
Yes.
It's not always about the money, but I do think that money gives us the opportunity to do things and make memories, right? So that stress is relieved when you're making, and Angela, you can vouch for me. I tell people at least $150 an hour or more, and you see all the nurses in the program. Do you know any of our nurses who charge or make less?
No.
Everyone charges that or more.
Yes.
Yeah. I say it and they doubt me. I just wanted them to hear it from someone else's mouth, because I tell people and they doubt me. No, I can't make that much. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You really can. Like 150 is the minimum I want you to charge.
Right.
So you already told them you make more. How many other nurses in the program are charging more?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's the baseline. I'm excited. We've been about 37 minutes into this, but I don't know. What do you like? I don't see. I have someone who says, I still remember talking with Angela. Very present. Stephanie's very present. This is awesome. Do we have any questions coming in? And anything else you'd want to share, Angela, with anyone? I wanted to use this time, these success spotlights, to show them how successful they can be. And here's another question. Some people say the 6 figures, it's not real. You can't possibly make 6 figures as a legal nurse and do it full time.
Once again, why not?
I mean, we're doing it, right?
Right. Yeah, right. Why not?
I mean, when you came into the program, other nurses were ahead of you, right?
Right.
When you first started getting projections out, signing clients who were giving them 4 and 5 and 10 cases. We just had another nurse in the program. What did she say? She said this attorney is reviewing her cases, at her case right now, and wants to give her 10 cases a month.
Right. Yep.
So she'll have, that one attorney will bring her 6 figures worth of revenue in a year.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, we see it happen time over time again. I'm not trying to convince any of our viewers that 6 figures, but like, it's not hard to get to 6 figures. It really isn't. It's not hard to replace your income if you want to, like Angela says. Do you think, what insight related to that would you share with anyone who's just in disbelief, saying, I don't think it's possible?
Oh, it is possible. You do have to put yourself out there, though. You'd have to believe in yourself, have some self-confidence, put yourself out there, reach out, don't be shy. The answer is always no if you don't ever ask. If you don't ever try, the answer is always no. And then what's the worst? They're going to say no. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
Moving on.
Don't take it personal. I mean, they may not be ready to hear what you have to say right now, or they may have already a nurse that works for their firm. So, I mean, then you just work other avenues, but network with others.
we have, I don't know how many marketing styles at this point inside of the
Mm-hmm.
program. We'll share all of them with you, just like we did with Angela. So you're not left in the dark, right? To figure out how to
Yeah.
network. We'll show you everything to do. Like she
Yeah.
said, it really is laid out like a process.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Follow
yeah.
the process. Trust the process. That's what she said. Trust the process.
Yes.
Yes. Follow the process. Just follow it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell some nurses, you're getting carried away. Just follow the process. It does work. I think it seems boring to some of them. They're like, I want to do something different. I'm like, well, let's follow the process first and let's get some money and then let's go do all these different things.
Right. Right.
We'll
Yeah.
get creative.
Yep.
I love that. Nancy says most companies don't even disclose their owner CEO and you don't have access to them. So I love that Stephanie is present and showing up. Thank you, Nancy. I love that. Yes, it's always about the success. More to come. I love that. Yeah, we've got some cool comments coming in. Well, Angela, I really appreciate you for your time. I'm happy. I'm thrilled with your success. I am grateful that you shared with nurses like this is common. This isn't like atypical, right? You
Right.
do have to do
Right.
the work, right? Because we can't build your
Right.
business for you. And then I don't collect royalties, right? Like anything that you do is free
Oh
and
no.
clear. Yeah, look at Angela. No, she's not.
I'm
No.
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so I had a nurse who was like, "Well, you must collect royalties," and I'm like, "No, you pay the one-time fee for the business startup, and then everything you make is yours from there on out." That's the beautiful part about giving you the process and you implementing it, right? Is you get to keep everything. So
Right.
it's a done with you. We have done for you facets inside of there, but it is a done with you. So by you growing your own business, you can take it to new heights and your profit margins are pretty intense, right, Angela? Like, I
Right.
mean, large.
Mhm.
You know, we talk about taxes and things like that, like when we're an employee, how much we have to put out. As you working
Right.
for yourself, the amount of profit you get to keep for your time and energy, I mean, it's everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love
A lot of
that.
write-offs.
But it's also a lot of income that you don't have to shelter out, right? There's not a lot of
Correct.
expenses.
No, there's not. No.
And not a lot of overhead, not a lot of maintenance, right?
No.
Not a lot to maintain your LNC business.
No.
What do you
Mm-mm.
need? What do you need to run your LNC business? Like tech wise, what do you need?
I have a laptop and I have my phone and a printer. And then I have like Lawmatics,
Mhm.
Adobe Pro, and that's it.
Do you have like a QuickBooks or anything?
Oh yes, yeah. QuickBooks. Yeah,
So
I
we're
do.
talking. So a couple of softwares,
Right.
a printer, a phone, and a laptop. Most of
Yes.
all, which you may have already had. Maybe not the printer, but
Right.
yeah. And now you're using it all for your business. So you don't need a lot, right? You don't need.
No.
There's not a lot of overhead to get started either.
No, not at all. I had
Love it.
everything but the printer.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So easy startup, easy to get into, and then easy to maintain.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Love it. All right. Well, we appreciate you, Angela. Thank you for taking the time and hopping in. Guys, I am thrilled that you got to see and speak with Angela. She's just one of many, and we will be back in. We are here at least once a month inside of our live training with another success spotlight, a nurse who's gone through the program, who has positioned herself to make multiple six figures. Again, just showing you that, like Angela said, why not? Why not do it? If you are willing to bet on yourself, then bet on yourself and do it so that coming into this new year, I mean, you could be making money. What are we in October? You could be making money before the end of the year, first of the year, and have an entire year in 2025 of revenue from legal nurse consulting. It's an opportune time. Jeannie says this is super exciting. She's so excited for more information. This is awesome.
One thing I wanted to add.
Yeah.
This is like, from where I've worked, this is the area of nursing where they don't eat their young. When anybody has a question, everyone jumps in to help out. It's amazing. It's a community, it's a group, and everybody's supportive. I was like, are they serious? Like, 3 people responded to me when I like had a question about something in the Facebook group, and I was like, oh wow, look how many people are willing to be helpful. Like it's crazy. It's amazing. It's wonderful. That's how it should be. I mean, we put a lot of work in to be a nurse, so we should all help each other out.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you say that. That's something, I think I forget too, right? That we were groomed in a eat your young kind of
Right?
environment. But no, it is off-putting in the beginning where you're like, wow, there's so many people responding. This is a lot. But
Yeah.
it is like that, because everyone has a common goal and it's for everyone to be successful. Angela knows they partner up and market, they subcontract to each other, they give the business to each other. Yes, I said the word give. They give
Yeah.
business to each other when they feel like it's not their ideal client. So our VIP group, our community, is really all about the right rising tides rise all ships. So I think it's really cool that you mentioned that. Nancy said the only way to fail is if you don't try. Got to show up for yourself and invest in yourself for sure. Absolutely, Nancy. Thank you again, Angela. Thank you, guys. We're going to be back in. We'll be here live next week and once a month, at least with our success spotlights. I hope you tune in then, and I'll see you there.
Bye.